What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Footy with an Edge. Man United have just drawn 2-2 away at Nottingham Forest, and honestly, it's a perfectly fine result. The fact that we're disappointed to not have won a fourth straight game tells you how far we've come in just 1 month. We're not talking about sacking the manager anymore. We're not talking about the midfield being invisible. And our biggest problem right now is Diogo Dalot, not 5 or 6 outfield players. But that game today felt like an Elliot Anderson audition tape. I saw something very similar to when Matheus Cunha announced himself against us back in April. And we'll probably see Adam Wharton do the same thing later this month. But Anderson was cool, calm, and collected on the ball. Basically the anti-Ugarte, a highly intelligent presser who kept Forest ticking under pressure, and someone who just might be the perfect heir to Casemiro's role at United next season. But I also spotted 1 or 2 things that could be real concerns. So in this video, we're breaking down exactly why Elliot Anderson could be the perfect Casemiro replacement and what might still hold him back from fulfilling that role. So if you haven't already, drop a like and subscribe to help us hit that 50K milestone because we're so close to it. Now, to kick things off, we're going to start with one of my favorite aspects of Elliot Anderson's game, and it's the fact that he does not treat the ball like a hot potato. I'm looking straight at you, Ugarte. Watch this video and try to understand what we need you to do when you come off the bench. So Nico Williams here is about to clear this header early in the first half. As we play it along, Gibbs White is running to win this second ball, and he lays it off to Anderson, who's just inside the box right here. Now, I want you guys to pay close attention to the number of United players that try to win this ball from Elliot Anderson as he gathers it right here, right? Because you already have Mbeumo and Bruno kind of getting ready to attack him from these 2 angles. So both of them try to close him down, but he kind of dummies to go in this direction, which pulls Bruno basically over here. And then he feints to go the other way, completely fooling Bruno. And now that those 2 are out of the way, the next threats are Casemiro here and Cunha over here. But again, he kind of dummies this time to go right and then fools Cunha and goes left and keeps running in this direction. But Casemiro is now coming all the way around, and look at how he just gets his head up and sees that Igor Jesus is running in this direction. So he finds a way to play that pass perfectly out, and Jesus is there to collect it right forward right there. I need you guys to appreciate how difficult it is to ride 4 pressures from 4 different angles and then have the calmness to get your head up and find a pass like this. You know, 5, 10, 15 years ago, players like Anderson were probably not valued as much as they are now because all the attention went to the flair players, the wingers, the goal scorers, and the playmakers. But in today's Premier League, a player like Anderson who can do everything he just did consistently throughout the game is worth its weight in gold. Now we go to around the 20th minute, and Bruno has just fizzed this pass across to get to Cunha here, who's basically in behind the midfield line of Forest and has potential to do real damage while attacking the back line. We see Elliot Anderson is behind the play, and he's definitely nowhere near as fast as Cunha to come recover this ball. As we play along, Cunha knows that Anderson's coming from this side, right? And he's expecting him to go to his strong side here to try to win the ball. And he also knows that Odoi is coming from the weak side over here, so he's almost thinking in his head, how do I beat this second guy so I can get into space and maybe find Ahmad over here? But Elliot Anderson is actually 2 steps ahead because he goes to the weak side, expecting Cunha to not go into this area, and then he's able to strip Cunha off the ball, and he moves forward and takes a touch inside and passes it off to Nico Williams, right? So really simple stuff, but he's reading the game in a way that allows him to win the ball back. And now Nico Williams gets pressed by Ahmad, and he does a really nice turn here to beat him, and basically Forest are straight through to attack against us. So that move from Anderson to strip Cunha is a very subtle defensive tactic that probably went unnoticed by most people, and it shows how well he reads the game and also understands Cunha's dribbling tendencies. Now we move ahead to around the 26th minute where Ndoi is defending deep, and he's about to clear it into the middle here. As we skip it forward a bit, the ball comes into Yates, who pokes it forward into Gibbs White right in this area here. And Gibbs White receives it and pokes it back into Yates right there. And I want you guys to pay attention to Savona, who's just appearing on screen here as Yates is about to play it back into Gibbs White. And he's basically getting into this space in behind both Dalot and Shaw. So as Yates pokes it back to Gibbs-White, you see Savona gathering speed, and he realizes there's a counter-attacking opportunity here, but both Dalot and Shaw are ball watching. So Gibbs-White leaves it to Anderson here, and Savona's now gathering pace, and you still see Dalot and Shaw ball watching. So as Anderson receives the ball, now Savona's already got the beat on both Dalot and Shaw, and they're looking at each other, but nobody's paying attention to Savona. Now Anderson gets it out of his feet, and we have Dalot here telling Shaw to go cover Savona, and Shaw is just looking at the ball, and he plays this really nice weighted pass straight into Savona's path, and also perfectly weighted so that he can catch up with it without overhitting it. And neither Shaw nor Dalot are anywhere close to Savona, and he's basically straight through on goal. Now, lucky for us, you see Matthijs de Ligt here recognizing the danger, and he makes this sprint across to get in front of Savona. Right there, you can see that. And he does enough to just about stop Savona from doing anything with this ball. So other than the fact that Dalot and Shaw really need to check their eyesight, that pass from Anderson really caught my eye. That's the kind of stuff we see both Bruno and Casemiro doing in our team. It's the perfect combination of calmness, game awareness, and technique. So I think having him come in and replace Casemiro in this midfield could be really great. Next, we go to the 48th minute of the first half, and Šeško has just won this long ball from Lomans. He knocks it towards Mbeumo here, but Murillo wins it ahead of him and passes it to Anderson right here. Now, again, guys, I want you guys to see how press resistant Anderson is throughout these next 2 to 3 seconds, because Šeško is ready to press Anderson right here on his first touch. But he takes a small touch inside to roll Šeško's tackle right there. And then he takes 2 other small touches, the first one right there and the second one right there, to get back into Šeško's position the way that he just came. And he's able to ride the second tackle from Šeško as well, using his body really well, and plays the simple pass out to Odoi. And in this one move, he's essentially bypassed Šeško, Bruno Fernandes, and Casemiro, the entire center of our midfield and our attack, to get straight to Odoi. And now they are essentially 3v3 against our backline right there. So you're not really looking for prime Zidane in midfield when you're watching Elliot Anderson. He just keeps it simple and gets the basics right 9 times out of 10. And if Odoi does a better job of maybe finding Gibbs-White through this space between de Ligt and Shaw, or plays a better weighted pass into Odoi here, you know, they probably score from this and we go into the first half 1-1. Now we turn our attention to Anderson's involvement in the first goal, because again, it might be something that most people didn't really notice. We start with Odoi running up the left flank here. He cuts inside and basically lays it off to Anderson right there. And if I told you right now that this ball is going to go to the opposite corner flag, then to the edge of the box for a cross that Gibbs-White scores from this area against Amad Diallo, who's over here, you'd probably call me crazy. But Anderson gets his head up and notices that there's a bunch of space on the right flank here, and Odoi is just off screen right there. And he drills this perfectly weighted pass right over these 3 United players. Look at how flat that ball is, guys, and the perfect weight on it. And it goes straight to Odoi, who's able to run over and pick up this ball. And the good thing about this pass is because it's going across the pitch, the entire United team has to now switch across, which creates this potential for these gaps in the middle right here. And now both Dalot and Cunha have to go all the way across to go defend against Odoi and also Yates over here. Now, as Odoi waits and waits on the ball, you'll see Cunha getting a little bit closer to him right there. And as he's about to go press him, he releases the ball to Yates, and Yates takes a touch and essentially puts a cross in that Gibbs-White wins over Amad right here. Again, Anderson doesn't get an assist for this play. He doesn't even play the pass before the assist. He plays 2 passes before the assist, but that perfect switch of play makes all of this happen. Now, the last thing we're going to discuss is the biggest concern I have with Elliot Anderson, and that's his physicality and aerial ability. Look, he's 5'10", which is the same height as Bruno, and he's definitely stronger and wider than Bruno, right? We even saw him use his body really well to roll 2 tackles from Šeško and just get on with it. But my concerns are more on the defensive side of things. At 5'10", is he the type of defensive midfielder that we can rely on in this system? Whether that's in the middle of the park like this or in both boxes. You know, how good is he at defending set pieces and then also coming up with the odd goal in the opposition's box? Anyways, we have a clip here from early in the first half that really caught my eye. Lomans has just kicked it long towards Casemiro, and Anderson just about beats Casemiro to win this header and hits it towards Euro right here. And Euro ends up winning that second ball and hits it towards Casemiro here, but right in this next second is what my concern is. Because both Anderson and Yates are ball watching and they get attracted to the same duel with Casemiro, and they've just vacated the entire midfield to come win this duel. So if they don't win it and Casemiro can knock it onto Cunha, they're in big trouble. And surprise, surprise, that's exactly what happens. And Cunha gets forward and plays this ball to Bruno, and Bruno plays it first time back into Cunha, and now he's in behind the entire Forest midfield. And as he's dribbling forward, neither Yates nor Anderson are getting ahead of Cunha unless they want to foul him. So Cunha dribbles forward, he manages to lay this off to Šeško right ahead of him, and then Šeško gets that nice early first time shot away that most of us really liked. He unfortunately put it wide. But on another day, he probably scores that, and if I was a Forest fan, I'm blaming both Yates and Anderson for emptying out the midfield. And Ryan Yates is a 27-year-old midfielder worth 12 million euros according to Transfermarkt. If you're going to have an expectation for someone to do better there, it has to be the 22-year-old England international that everyone is talking about. And hey, I'm not saying you need to be a 6'4" defensive monster to play in this United midfield, but to replace Casemiro, this is what you're up against. Even at 33, he's in the 99th percentile for tackles and blocks. He's giving you almost 3 clearances and 2.5 aerial duels per game. So maybe Casemiro's replacement doesn't look exactly like Casemiro, but Anderson still needs to improve a little defensively to show me that he's up for the task, because this is what we're looking at with Anderson. So what do you guys think? Do you like what you saw from Elliot Anderson today? Do you think he could be a really good replacement for Casemiro? How much are you actually willing to pay for him? Get your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you've made it this far, why not drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.